Oklahoma and Ole Miss both coming off of a loss. Oklahoma in a big one to South Carolina, getting kind of smoked early on. Ole Miss, overtime loss to LSU. At this point in the season, Ole Miss really needs to get back on track. We called at the beginning of the year. I thought that they would be undefeated. Now they're here at a noon game as 20-point favorites in this game. What are some of your thoughts when it comes to Ole Miss taking on Oklahoma?
Yeah, a couple of my thoughts when I think about Ole Miss taking on Oklahoma is to number one, just don't underestimate the opponent in front of you. I think this Oklahoma is still a well-coached team. We understand the offensive woes, but this defense is really strong, right? That's been what has been able to keep them in games this season against Tennessee, against in losses and in wins, right? It kept them in the game against Texas early on. So for Ole Miss, when I'm thinking about this game, it's don't underestimate this opponent. Remember the goal for the season. Get to the playoffs, get to the conference championship, one game at a time. It's all about the resume. And this game is an opportunity for them to continue to build on their resume and win games they're supposed to win. A spot that we expect a team like this of Ole Miss to be in.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what Ole Miss will see from this Oklahoma team this week. They fired their offensive coordinator last week. They're on the interim, who was a former tight end coach at Ole Miss. Now at Oklahoma. Lane Kiffin said that means nothing because he was never in a play calling role, so it doesn't mean anything. But
Uh,
at Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold's going to start this game, which is very interesting to me. Michael Hawkins, he had opportunities. He was showing something, just could never get it done when he was in the game. Jackson Arnold came in late last week and did okay. So, in this, the Oklahoma team may look different facing Ole Miss than what they were expecting.
Yeah, I think the thing for me was like you don't really know what to expect if you're Ole Miss, right? Like I feel like this is one of those games I'm throwing away the stats for Oklahoma in some ways because I'm looking at it more again, it's a hungry team in the SEC, wants has something to prove. They were lumped in that bucket last week of Big 12 teams that couldn't hang in the SEC with Texas losing. I think that Jackson Arnold, he wants his job back for keeps. So I would
Yeah.
imagine he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, trying to show like even if they don't win this game, that he can be the leader for this offense going forward. There's not a lot of pieces to roll with him around him, but I think he's going to want to show that he can hang. The challenge is this Ole Miss defense has looked super impressive all season. Outside of their performances against, I would say LSU,
Yeah.
they've been able to and Kentucky, they've looked impressive for the majority of the season with Ole
Yeah.
Miss's defense. If they find themselves forcing turnovers again, we could see Michael Hawkins come back in this game. But I know that's
Yeah.
been a challenge for Jackson Arnold. That's why he was benched the first time. And,
Him coming in this game burns his redshirt year, which I think he had talked about taking. So this
that
game would
that's
burn that.
that's an interesting wrinkle in today's college football landscape.
Yeah.
So
Future Big Ten quarterback Jackson Arnold.
hey, look, I'm just happy these guys want to play football. Still, right? A lot of guys are redshirting, but bringing it back to this preview of this SEC quarterback Jackson Arnold right now, he's gonna have to be their leading rusher, their leading passer for the game for them to have a shot against Ole Miss. I think the spread with being 20 under is interesting. I know you had some stats around that one, so tell us a
Yeah,
little more about it.
I do. So looking at it in every game that Ole Miss has won, they have covered. And in every game that Oklahoma has lost, they have not covered. So assuming that you think, whoever's listening, thinks that Ole Miss is going to win this game, the stats would show that they will cover in any time that they win in Oklahoma on the other side. So, with that, I think it plays itself up for an Ole Miss big win. I think that they're due for one. They came off of a bye after a loss, which always is huge for momentum.
Yep.
They're 1-2 in conference. They're playing at home. They want their defense to run free at this quarterback who they know is mistake prone and the offense isn't playing well. But it does give them an opportunity in a low risk game to let Jackson Dart work against a good defense.
Yep.
So Oklahoma defense, for whatever it's worth, is playing well. They've just been put in horrible positions by their offense. They were hardly on the field and were already found themselves down 21-0 last week.
Yeah.
So the defense is not the reason why Oklahoma is struggling, but it could be a good test for Jackson Dart to get going against them.
Definitely. I mean, this Oklahoma defense is a top like 7 defense in the SEC. What can this Oklahoma defense do that Kentucky was able to do against Ole Miss a couple weeks back?
Yeah, I think that they limited the big plays. Um, I think that that would be the key, limiting anything big. Ole Miss, especially to start the season, was so reliant on big play
Yeah.
that if you can limit that and force them to nickel and dime their way down the field, you could find yourself in the backfield at times, here and there, third and longs, bringing some extra blitzing. You mentioned they're a well coached team. Oklahoma is. There's opportunities for the defense to bring something unique and force a mistake.
Mhm, mhm, absolutely, and I do think that, Henry Parrish in this offense with Jackson Dart will be too much given what the offense has shown us with Oklahoma. I have Ole Miss winning this game pretty convincingly. I would say I think they covered the 20-point spread. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say 28-7. Um, but I think 28 is a respectable defensive performance from Oklahoma. I think for Ole
Okay.
Miss, they do enough to win the game. A Georgia football-esque win in some ways.
Okay. I think that Ole Miss puts up more points just from the Oklahoma offense, putting them in good scoring position. I like Ole Miss winning 38-13. Um, I think, Oklahoma needs to help Jackson Arnold with the scheme because he doesn't have weapons available to
Right.
him. Don't ask him to do everything. Give him some easier throws early, build some confidence. You never know what can break out. But if Ole Miss just plays their game, I think that they cover.
Yeah, and it's a Big Ten tryout for Jackson.
I
You
don't
tell
know.
us what you think if you're listening, right? Does Jackson Arnold stay in Oklahoma? Spurring the red shirt to make the right call. We both have Ole Miss in this game. Jokes aside, I mean, this Ole Miss team is super impressive. Still in the playoff race. Still, a lot of their goals are in front of them. There's a lot of football left. They're going to be playing Georgia in a couple weeks. Oklahoma, we talked about them being broken. Opportunity to show that they're fixed.
Yeah.
They can get the upset of the week. I would say, looking at this entire slate of SEC football, even bigger upset than I would say Vanderbilt over Texas. So a lot to look forward to Boomer Sooner Nation.